All you want is to meet your security and compliance requirements. But your business technology keeps changing. Cyber threats emerge every day. More regulations apply to you now than ever before, and your IT resources remain limited. The Center for Internet Security can help. At CIS, we work to create a safer world for people, businesses, and governments through collaboration and innovation. Using a community-driven consensus process, we work with IT professionals and volunteers around the world to develop and maintain security best practices. These resources save you time, money, and effort wherever you are on your cybersecurity journey. We also work with U.S. state, local, tribal, and territorial government organizations to share information with one another so they're stronger together. Join us today in creating confidence in the connected world. Visit cisecurity.org to play your part.
Hey, it's Kim Commando Today, your daily podcast to keep you up to date with all things digital and beyond. And I'd love to have you be a part of our podcast. You can make an appointment to speak with me. Just head over to commando.com, and on the top right, there's a button that says Email Kim. Fill that out, and that's it.
I don't think I want to buy this product. It's called the Plod Note Pen. Here's what happens. It's powered by ChatGPT, and it records your entire life, everything that happens during the day. You just put this pen on, and then at the end of the day, it summarizes everything for you. So if you're wondering, like, what happened on March 2nd at 10 a.m., you could go back and do that. What happened on July 30th? You can go back and do that. Imagine if you were having, like, an argument with your partner or spouse. Oh, I have proof that's what you said. All right. The company claims it's going to save you 260 hours a year. How much? $169 plus, of course, everything nowadays has this monthly fee. Definitely not for me. This Snoop, to me, is a real dog. And on that happy note, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Kim Commando, America's beloved digital goddess, here with you once again. And let me tell you, you need tech smarts, because if you're not tech ahead, you're going to be left tech behind in the dust. Now, you can find my award-winning show on over 420 top radio stations throughout the United States. And get this, you can now get the Kim Commando show streaming in your favorite radio app and also wherever you get your podcasts. Just search for my last name, Commando. Now, great sponsors help to make this show possible. And you know the deal. I always negotiate an exclusive money-saving deal with them. So to see all the deals and get all the special links that you need, just go to one spot. That's commando.com/sponsors. All right, every single day, whether it's a work day, a weekend, a holiday, you can count on me to scan over 35 to 40 different sites. So this way we're both up to date what's happening in the tech world. And we're going to start with this. Tragedy struck this past week at Appalachia High School in Winder, Georgia. And I'm sure you saw it in the news. A 14-year-old student opened fire, killed 4 people, 2 students, 2 teachers, injured 9 others. Authorities say the suspect, Colt Gray, was taken into custody shortly after the incident. He's going to be charged with murder. Now, the toll could have been higher if not for a newly installed safety system. It was put in just a week ago. The system is known as Cenerex. It allows teachers to use kind of a digital panic button. The system equips every teacher with this small digital panic button embedded in their ID cards. Now, 4 presses notify school administrators that there's an issue. 8 presses directly an alert to law enforcement. So in this case, officers arrived at the scene within 2 minutes of the system being triggered. What's remarkable is that the system automatically initiated a school lockdown before any teacher even heard gunshots. This gave staff and students precious time to barricade themselves, potentially, obviously, preventing a far worse outcome. And teachers had been trained extensively on the system, and that allowed them to respond quickly and calmly. All right, moving on to number 2. Both Mark Zuckerberg and the White House have made an extraordinary admission, one that's not getting a lot of media attention. Mark Zuckerberg is suddenly very, very, very sorry about censoring individual conservative-leaning opinions on Facebook. At the time, Facebook and Meta, they call this censorship content moderation. Now, most of the suppressed opinions were from millions of just ordinary folks who just wanted to be heard as they discussed COVID, vaccines, face mask mandates, and school closures. Now, Zuckerberg says that Facebook was caving into tremendous pressure to censor from the Biden-Harris White House. Now, quoting Zuckerberg, I believe the government pressure was wrong, and I regret that we were not more outspoken about it. Let me tell you, this election is far too important to trust anything that you see on social media. All right, moving on to number 3, Amazon. They're losing tens of billions of dollars on the Amazon Echo and everything else equipped with this smart assistant. So if you bought any Amazon Alexa-enabled device, Amazon's saying it's because of you. Why? Because Amazon, when they launched the Echo and these Alexa devices, it was actually below cost 10 years ago. They counted on you to buy Amazon products through both the Echo and other Alexa products to make up for the loss. There's something that they call this downstream impact. Now, the trouble is, Amazon miscalculated, no one downstream cared, no one bought. Yeah, it's just been a big loser. Moving on to number 4, it's rumored that both the U.S. military and our intelligence agencies, they have this fleet of tiny spy drones. They look like dragonflies or other flying insects. No one really sees them, but they are packed with powerful cams and eavesdropping electronics. Drone manufacturer DJI has unveiled a new drone that is so small. It's about 5 ounces, called the Neo. It fits in the palm of your hand. Now, because it weighs less than 5 ounces, that's not a quinky-dinky. It doesn't need any FAA registration, and neither does the operator. The drone is almost invisible when it's more than 50 feet away. But what's on board is a 4K high-res camera. The cost, less than $250. So just one thing to keep in mind. If you're being tormented by one of these things, there's not a lot you can do legally. You can't shoot it down, and jamming anything in America is illegal. And finally, this, coming in at number 5, if you've ever wondered just how deeply our government monitors you, I want you to look no further than the Swifties. Yes, you know what they are, those Taylor Swift superfans. Guess what? They're on the government's radar. Why in the world are we monitoring the Swifties? Well, it's because we can. The Department of Defense monitors the entire internet all the time. ISIS, the terror group, you may be familiar with this. They were planning to kill Taylor Swift when she appeared in Vienna with her Eras tour. So that date was skipped, costing who knows how many millions in concert sales. And out of the billions of text messages flying around, Defense Department officials picked up that Taylor Swift fans were alarmed by the planned attack. I mean, why would they watch the Swifties when it's all over TMZ? I don't get it. But here's the takeaway. If they're watching the text of, say, a 14-year-old girl, you can bet the farm that they're watching you and me all the time. Yeah, talk about bad blood. All right, coming up, we're going to talk about incognito mode, what they don't want you to know, how you can tell if your e-bike battery is truly safe. We're going to talk about transcribing your meetings using AI. And of course, we have just the best callers in the history of talk radio here on The Kim Komando Show.
Hey, Prime members, are you tired of ads interfering with your favorite podcasts? Good news! With Amazon Music, you have access to the largest catalog of ad-free top podcasts included with your Prime membership. To start listening, download the Amazon Music app for free or go to amazon.com/ad-free podcasts. That's amazon.com/ad-free podcasts to catch up on the latest episodes without the ads.
Here's where you need to go, winfromkim.com. Once again, that's winfromkim.com. That's where you can enter to win a brand new iPhone 16 valued up to $1,500. Yeah, no purchase necessary. Just go to winfromkim.com. All right, let's get started. Becky in Atlanta, Georgia. Hi there, Becky.
Hi, Kim. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for your call. And how can I help you out?
Well, I work in a interior shutter manufacturing company. I manage the office. So one of the things I do is oversee with it being a small company, I just oversee everything sort of in the office. So one of the things is the cell phone bill, and it has, 12, 14 cell numbers on it. So a couple of months ago, my coworker who has one of those lines called me and he said, "Hey, my phone stopped working." And he said, "I was just using it and it stopped working." So he contacted the carrier, Verizon, and they said, "Your your cell phone number, your line has been ported away from the account. It just happened.
Oh, no, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
And
awful.
he said as soon as he got some information from the cell phone company, and he had an app on his phone for Coin Wallet. And as soon as the phone was ported, within minutes, his cryptocurrency was wiped out.
Yeah, that's a nightmare. It is. And so what did the carrier say?
Well, the carrier said that Martin had called in and requested port. And, of course, we know Martin didn't do that. Martin's line was the one that was stolen. So
Right.
someone somehow was able to get that port authorized. And
then basically got a copy of everything that he has on the phone. That's what happened.
yeah,
And
probably got
so
the two-factor authentication codes and all that.
Yeah, and that's a complete nightmare. And I'm so glad that you called, Becky, to tell me this story, because you have to set up this extra layer of security. And you have a PIN number, but you actually want to make sure that you put a password under what's called port validation. I think the carrier should be required that you put a password there, but it's optional for some reason. I don't get it. Okay. So in your online account settings is that what you do is you want to go through and see how you set up what's called a port validation password or PIN number. Because as you mentioned, is that, the two-factor authentication, that goes directly to the phone. And then guess what? The criminals have everything that they need to go into any one of your accounts at that point, because think about everything that you have on your home. Now, Verizon does have a free app called Verizon Identity. And did Verizon tell you about this at all?
Oh, no. They have been forthcoming with very much information at all. I have no confidence that we're any safer after this has happened than we were before.
Okay, well, first of all, with every phone, because like you mentioned, you're a small business, you're running a lot of different things. Now you have to be an expert in phone security too, right? You're like, wait, what happened to this? Okay. Verizon has different levels of service. Make sure that you are a Verizon business account, because this way you get discounts. But in addition to that, you normally get like a rep that will actually help you out, because I mean, with all these lines, you should be a business, be one of their business accounts. But this Verizon app called Identity, it gives you additional layers of security for push notifications or pins or certain actions. But what we need to do is make sure that you have a password on this port request, because that should never, ever happen again. One of the things that may have happened to Martin, and I'm not sure, is that, maybe when he was moving so quickly on his phone, getting things done, that he may have gotten some type of phishing scam. And it could have been a phone call, an email, or a text message claiming to be from Verizon and asking him to do these certain steps. And at that point, that's when the scammers, the hackers, the criminals, whatever you want to call them, that's when they were able to kind of step in there and then take that phone away from him, and also all of his cryptocurrency, because he had that saved on his phone too. So once again, Becky, thank you so much for bringing this important security issue up. And again, it's called a port validation password or PIN. And in your cellular account, the app, just make sure that you have that set up. And Becky, thank you for your call today. Let's see who's next. Jim in Chicago, Illinois. Hi, Jim.
Hi, Kim. Love your show. Love your podcast. God, I think I spend a lot of my Saturday nights on the way home listening to your program here in Chicago. So it's an honor to talk to you. I have a question. I just got a new car, and I'm finding out that all the new cars are not coming with CD players any longer. And I have a bunch of CDs, of course, that I'd like to play. I'm just wondering, I have a USB port in my car, and I have a USB-C port in my car. Am I able to download my CDs onto a thumb drive, or I've seen these SD drives that are appearing that are
Yeah, you can do all that. I mean, basically what you can do is you're going to use Windows Media Player, or Audacity or whatever one you want. And you're going to rip those CDs, and then you could put playlists together, anything that you want, and then you're going to put that on the USB port. And then when you plug that into your new car, it's going to pop up on the screen and say, hey, look what we found, Jim. We have all your music. Is this something that you want to listen to right now instead of, not instead of me? That would hurt my heart, Jim.
No,
right?
I
Okay.
only listen to it
right.
in your non-playing hours and after listening to your podcast.
Excellent. That was the best answer. Okay. The other thing, too, is that in that USB port, if you didn't want to go through all this hassle of ripping and burning and, getting things on thumb drives, is that you can buy a CD drive that you plug into the car's USB port.
Oh, okay.
So basically, you're just going to add a CD player to your new car. I will give you a warning, though, that when you look at these on Amazon, is that typically at the bottom, so just don't go buy one, oh, yeah, this looks like it, and then put it in your cart, is that somewhere in the bottom of these listings that they'll tell you what makes and models of cars are supported.
Okay.
In what years. So just make sure that you check that. They're always about $80. Another thing that you might want to do is you can pick up like an old iPod.
Okay.
Or an old MP3 player. And then you can, so instead of a thumb drive, because this way you have some controls. And like if you had an old iPod player, that maybe you could access it through the Ford app.
Okay.
And with that thumb drive, you can probably access that through the Ford app as well. So yeah, you can put it on a thumb drive. And I think we've got a lot of these how-tos over on the site. The same thing with that MP3 or iPod. And then again, that's just that CD player that plugs into your car's USB port. They're about $80. And then you don't have to rip and make anything, which is always a great idea, isn't it? And as I mentioned, they're about $80. Hey, Jim, thank you so much for your call. Oh, speaking of CDs, let me tell you something. I lost my pizza cutter, so I tried to use an old Rod Stewart CD instead. It worked all right at first, but then the plastic edge, it got dull right away. Because after all, the first cut is the deepest. All right. Do you think it'd be okay if someone else was scrolling through your entire search history? Not so much. For your most private searches in Chrome, of course, you're going to use incognito mode. Now, you may have been thinking that if you went incognito, no one was tracking anything that you were doing. Well, that's not the case. Incognito mode lets you browse without saving your history, the cookies, or any of that session data on your device. But here's the deal. Your internet service provider, the website you visit, Google, or even your employer can still track exactly what you're doing online. So incognito just means that your browser is not going to keep a record on your device. So I know what you're saying. So Kim Commando, if I want to have a secure browsing session where nobody really tracks me and it's super private, what do I have to do? Well, you can use incognito mode as one line of defense, and then also you're going to need to add a virtual private network or a VPN. Of course, here at the show, we recommend expressvpn.com/Kim. All right, still to come, we have more of your phone calls you don't want to miss here on the Kim Commando Show.
Hey, Prime members, are you tired of ads interfering with your favorite podcasts? Good news! With Amazon Music, you have access to the largest catalog of ad-free top podcasts included with your Prime membership. To start listening, download the Amazon Music app for free or go to amazon.com/ad-free podcasts. That's amazon.com/ad-free podcasts to catch up on the latest episodes without the ads.
Hey, in just a few minutes, a big-time security mistake that you may be making when you're on social media. And then later on, an insider trick to see whether or not an e-bike battery is truly safe. And before we get to that and all of your phone calls, let's talk about transcribing your meetings using AI. I mean, we already have that device I mentioned at the top of this hour. But when you're on a work video call and you're on camera, you're taking notes, it can be a little bit of a challenge. So here's what you can do. You're going to present your best self, and if you're buried in note-taking, it may look as if you're not fully engaged. That's where an AI meeting assistant can truly help. Otter AI is designed specifically for this, and it works with Zoom, Microsoft Teams, and Google with a Chrome extension. It costs money, $7 a month, but it can transcribe, summarize, and organize that meeting's content, even sending out action items to everyone afterwards. Yeah, love that. Now, if you're using Microsoft Teams and you don't need all those bells and whistles, just toggle on live transcription in your video settings for a live transcription on the side of your screen. Again, that's Otter AI. It's a fabulous service, by the way. And I used it so many times when I was taking my mom to doctors because, of course, you never know what the doctor says. And you're like, what do they mean by that? So if you ever record a session with your doctor, is after that you can have it transcribed by Otter AI or even just ChatGPT. But what I like about Otter is it has like person 1, person 2, person 3. So this way you really know like who was saying what. All right, back to the phones we go with Daryl in Nashville, Tennessee. Hi there, Daryl.
Hi, Kim. Thanks for taking my call.
Anytime. What's happening?
Well, Kim, I am the DJ of a very small internet radio station, and it's a hobby radio station, so there's no revenue. And I'm trying to develop more listeners, and we have kind of a segmented format. It's deep cuts classic rock from the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and we also play modern rock music from today. But, that kind of fits that classic rock genre, plus a lot of rock and blues. And I'm the money man for the station, so I pay for our licenses, I pay for the radio software so that we can broadcast. Okay. But we'd really like to have more than 4 or 5 listeners at a time, and that's actually kind of a typical good night for us, or for me. Our word of mouth advertising really hasn't paid off. We have a very rudimentary web page where people can listen, but we're also on all of the major radio platforms. I've advertised on Facebook by boosting my Facebook posts, saying I'm going to be broadcasting live, get your requests ready, so on and so forth. And I've probably spent $300 on Facebook posts.
Okay, so you said boost. Are you buying targeted ads or are you just boosting posts?
Boosting posts. So okay. I really am kind of frustrated in the fact that we haven't been able to grow our listenership. And maybe it's just because we don't have a very good product, but I think we do have a good product.
You're funny. At least, well, maybe the product sucks. Okay, just saying. It does.
Anyway, I'm looking for suggestions on, are there any other ways that we might try advertising that people have suggested? Instagram. I don't have an Instagram account for the radio station. I can certainly develop one, but.
Yeah, here's what I would do. Number one, stop boosting posts. Okay, that is a total waste of money. Yeah, what I want you to do is to come up with a list. Give me 5 words that describe somebody who would want to listen to your internet radio station. Number 1 is they're between the ages of 40 and 70. Maybe because you said the 60s, I'm just going to say in the beginning, we're going to really target this audience to say they're 60 plus. Okay. What's number 2?
Somebody who would be familiar with Woodstock, the original Woodstock.
Excellent. Okay. Original Woodstock.
Someone who enjoys live music.
And probably radio. We'll say radio.
Someone who is sick of classic rock on the radio.
Okay, all right, because we want the B side. Okay,
we want the third cut on the B side on the album.
Okay, all right. Okay, so what you've just done is you've really identified who the listener is, and so what you do now is you create Facebook ads.
Okay,
and you're gonna set a dollar amount on how much you're willing to pay for the click.
Which I've done that with boosts.
No, we're not doing boosts anymore. This is different.
No, I understand, but is it not the same mechanism with ads as it is with boosts? Oh,
no,
okay.
Nope. Let me tell you a secret. I spend a lot of money on Facebook ads. I never boost.
Okay.
But I've got a big business here, and I'm trying to grow. So I'm reinvesting to get new ears and eyes. And we do a lot of data tracking on the back end. So what I mean by that is we take a Facebook ad and we say that this is the audience. We are going to look at that audience 30, 60, 90 days out to see if they're still engaged, to see if that was a good audience for us.
Can I ask the distinction then between boosting and an ad? Because when I've done the boosting, maybe I was doing an ad and didn't realize it. Okay,
no. It's a whole different mechanism. No, because you're forgetting about the boost, and it's a whole different part of Meta and Facebook is that we are going to create an ad that says something, and it's going to be something about, tune in anytime, or, if you know Woodstock, you're going to love us. And then you're going to put all this, what we talked about, all the specific characteristics of this person, and then you're going to set a price, how much you're willing to pay per person who's going to click that ad. And so it's not $75 to reach 1,000 people or whatever it may be. Okay?
Right.
So you're going to say, I'll spend 25 cents per person that you send me. And then Facebook come back and go, okay, here's 10 people. So you might have to pay 35 cents, 50 cents, right? And then I set a limit. We don't go over $1.50 per person. Okay. So once you can get that audience larger, that's when you can start saying, tell your family members and friends, because right now your audience, 4 to 15 people, who are they going to tell? And you know what? People don't like to do that. They only know, think about how many people you really know that you're going to tell. You're going to tell like 1 to 2 to 3, maybe 5 people. That mean really what you want to do. Some other ideas is that you collaborate with other internet stations. Maybe do some cross promotions. I promote you, you promote me. You think about that. You may think about creating a podcast. If you're paying the licensing rights, maybe you create like a playlist on YouTube and so that this way you can get the word out. What you want to do is start putting those tentacles out so it's not just on Facebook. I'm not saying Instagram is, I wouldn't go Instagram. I would go do a podcast, make sure you get it on YouTube as a playlist, do some collaborations and start spending a little bit of money on some Facebook ads. And so that this way you can start boosting that audience. If you need, not boosting, bad word. We're not boosting, taking ads out on Facebook so that you can build your audience. If you need any help along the way, Daryl, I'm here for you. I'm telling you, you have to be really careful on Facebook or you can just blow through a whole bunch of money without any returns. All right, here's a security question for you. Say you're using Amazon, Facebook, Messenger, Instagram, TikTok, or Snapchat. You click on an ad or whatever, and that opens up a web page in a browser. Is this like no big deal or is this a problem? Let's see if you passed. When you click a link in an ad and that action does not open your browser of choice, you're using what's called an in-app browser. Now, when you do, that app, the ones already mentioned, Amazon, Facebook, Messenger, TikTok, Instagram, the rest, it captures every single keystroke that you enter. And then, yeah, I know you're following along. They're going to sell all that data to the highest bidder. So remember, when you click a link and that opens an in-app browser, what I'd like you to do if you really want to buy something on social media, which I never recommend, copy that link, then open your own web browser and do all that just to protect your privacy. All right, still to come, we have more of your phone calls as well as later on your e-bike battery, how to see if it's really safe. I've got the scoop here on the Kim Komando Show.
Hey, Prime members, are you tired of ads interfering with your favorite podcasts? Good news! With Amazon Music, you have access to the largest catalog of ad-free top podcasts included with your Prime membership. To start listening, download the Amazon Music app for free or go to amazon.com/ad-free podcasts. That's amazon.com/ad-free podcasts to catch up on the latest episodes without the ads.
Chris in Eaton Rapids, Michigan. Hi there, Chris.
Hi, Kim. Thanks for taking my call.
Anytime. You have a great voice. Wow. What's going on?
Oh, my wife tells me I have the perfect face for radio.
Nice. Love you too, honey.
I work for a small history museum in Eaton Rapids, and we have a lot of historical documents in our archives that I want to start scanning and make them searchable on the web. The documents or the archives that we have are related to Civil War veterans.
Oh, wow. That's something.
It's an organization called the Grand Army of the Republic that they created after the Civil War, and it existed right up until 1959 when the last Civil War veteran died. So we have all those documents from, it's kind of like the granddaddy of the VFW or the American Legion, and there was over 400 posts just in Michigan at one point in time. So there's a lot of information there and a lot of genealogical data that people could access, and I want to share it. I want to have it out there for people. So, and I'm wondering what the best way to do that is, and or the best place to put them so that they can be found.
Great. This is interesting. How are you going to scan them?
Looking at a scanner that does both document feed and a flatbed scanner, because a lot of our documents are over 100 years old, and I don't want to run them through a feeder and take a chance on destroying anything.
Yeah, that's for sure. So, have you picked out a scanner?
Been looking at an Epson scanner, but I can't remember the model number right off the top of my head. So I'm open for suggestions as far as that goes too.
Oh, well, the Epson, the DS870 is probably the one that you're looking at. Plus Tech has something called the Optic Book. And so if you have a lot of books and bound materials, it's really designed to scan books without damaging them. Obviously, you guys have a website, right?
Yes.
So, but you could scan it all in there, put it on your website, and then make it searchable, like the archives library, rather, and, our government site. And so you can see how if you go through there, you can scan things and you can search for things by certain dates, and everything's all tagged. So you're going to need some type of back end for this. I don't know if it's something that you can just get off the shelf. There may be a WordPress plugin for this do you handle the website too or no?
Yes, I do.
Oh, okay. Well, you're just a busy guy, aren't you?
I'm a very busy guy, yes.
We're going to scan it. We're going to do it. We're going to get up on the web, and then we're going to make people love it. Everything, all at once.
I'm not messing around.
So there may be some type of WordPress plugin that you could just tie into the website. I like WordPress because it's easy to use, and there's also a lot of tutorials out there, and there are a lot of plugins, like we mentioned. There's also something called, it's OMEKA, Omeka. It really is designed for you to create like an online archive.
Okay.
And there's also Content DM is the other one. Content DM is another one for you to take a look at. And then once you have everything all on the web, Chris, is make sure that you go to archives.org. Archives.org. And that's where you'll find, like, I don't know if you've ever checked it out, the Wayback Machine.
No, I haven't.
And so at archives.org, that's where you can plug in your website, and you say, you know what, I want a copy of this website saved for all of eternity. And so you plug in the URL, and then they scrape the site, and then they will do periodic updates. And so the whole idea, the guy who runs it, I've interviewed him. He's just amazing. And this is his like pet, like nonprofit project, is having a whole archive of everything on the internet, not just websites, but audio and video too.
Oh, wow.
Like, dude, I don't know how I don't know how you're doing this. I'm lucky I can do commando.com on a newsletter, so
yeah.
Anyway, but this might be something else that you want to do, because this way it's not just on your website, but then we also have a full archive available to anybody at any time. So what sparked your interest in this?
Well, I did Civil War reenacting for several years, and a friend of mine heard that they were going to put a museum in Eaton Rapids and suggested I go to their first meeting that they had, and I walked into an empty building, and this was 11 years ago. And we created a board of directors, and we get artifacts donated to us and loaned to us. And we've got over 5,000 artifacts in our museum now.
Wow, that's awesome. That's great. That's amazing. And you
really,
love it, I can tell.
Oh, I do. It's a passion. My wife rolls her eyes when I talk about it all the time. But, garmuseum.com, and people can check us out. We've got a lot of original artifacts related to the Grand Army. We're not a Civil War museum. It was post-Civil War, so 1866 to 1959 typically. And it's a part of history that I had never heard of, even though I have been a Civil War buff for decades. And I never heard of the Grand Army of the Republic. And then they also had an organization that kind of branched off from them called the Women's Relief Corps, which were the wives and daughters of the veterans. And they were responsible for helping pass women's right to vote. They raised money for ambulances during World War I. Just an incredible piece of history that isn't taught and not very well known, and that's what we focus on doing.
Well, that's so wonderful. You know what great work that you're doing. What's the website again so everybody can check it out?
It's garmuseum.com.
garmuseum.com. Hey, Chris, you know what? Good luck with the project. This is a big deal. Okay. And if you need any help afterwards, just let me know. Again, thank you for your call.
I appreciate your time, Kim. Thank you.
Speaking of the Civil War, I'm not a fan of Civil War jokes. I generally do not find them funny. Oh, that one hurt you. I could tell, but you laughed. Just a quick reminder, if you're just too shy to come on a big-time radio show and podcast, but you still need a hand with whatever's going on in your digital life, I am totally here for you. Here's what you need to do. Go to commando.com. That's Komando, commando.com, of course. And then there's a link that says Ask Kim. Okay. I am the only one that reads the notes that you send me there. And I know you want to drop me all kinds of comments and DMs all over social media, but I'm so busy that I have said, okay, if anybody sends me a note through the Ask Kim, I guarantee you that I am going to read it. Again, that's commando.com, and you want to use that Ask Kim link. In New York last year, there were over 200 reported e-bike fires. Some buildings burned down, there were major injuries, and even some deaths. The bike's lithium-ion batteries are usually the main culprit. Most are cheap China goods likely to overcharge and catch fire, especially if you're used to thrashing your bike. Now, there is a way to see if your e-bike battery is up to snuff. You want to see if it's UL 2271 certified, UL 2271. This means that the battery has passed some rigorous tests from how it handles heat to its durability if dropped, making sure that it's less likely to short circuit if something happens to it or if you overcharge the battery. So you can find the UL 2271 certification mark on the battery itself, or you can look inside the product's manual. If it's not immediately visible, just contact the manufacturer directly for confirmation. I don't want you to play with your life. Yeah, it's really dangerous stuff. All right, I am giving away a brand new iPhone 16, and you can enter to win it right now, a $1,500 value. You want to go to winfromkim.com. Once again, that address, winfromkim.com.
This program is a copyrighted production of Westar Multimedia Entertainment and protected by the copyright laws. Any rebroadcast or use of this program for commercial, business, economic, or financial purposes without the written permission of Westar Multimedia Entertainment is strictly prohibited.